All right, welcome back to another episode of The Martini, broadcasting here out of Camerati Studios. Love this air conditioning here in the summer. Firebrand Media, shooting and producing this project. Big ups to those guys. I have with me producer, director, educator, Eve Butterly. We have known each other for quite some time in the video and film production community. Yeah, round of applause, everyone. Yay! Right. And I have my producer director, Eric Matthews, over here on the hot mic. Yeah, indeed, indeed. And we are, well, first of all, are you going to get a top off over here, Eric?
I am. I was going to be a gentleman and wait to offer Eve something first.
Well, we can get all that taken care of together. I'm already set.
Yeah.
We're going to get Eve some hospitality here. Is this what you want?
That's exactly what I want.
Okay.
It's in a bottle. I'm taking it.
Yeah. Okay. Is that a good side? And then, and when you get a chance, do the.
Here, let me just do the whole thing right
And so, oh, okay. Yep. Well, all right. Very good. Okay.
Janky box.
Janky box. Have you, get out of here. take your drinks with you. Hey, take your drinks with you. Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay. Jesus Christ. Have you seen this? Do you know what this is?
That looks like an apple box, but a very different apple box.
Very true, very true. It's what they call a janky box, right? And this is a collapsible apple box. You can travel with it. It is great for audio mixers or grips or production vans that are looking to save space. And the great thing about the janky box is the ability to store stuff inside.
Look at that.
And look at that. We have a delicious treat for Eve. So you can store valuable stuff inside, everything that you need to get through your
Tasty
day.
beverages.
Here is, I believe we have a lovely pina colada for you.
Awesome.
Here for this happy, ooh, looks delicious. Is that a pina colada?
Sure, it's a protein shake.
If you broaden your definition of protein shakes. And then here we go. We have this, mic is killing me. We have a lovely little accoutrement.
Yes, you have to have the little umbrella.
What do you think of our set?
This is awesome. It's got a lot of nice little tchotchkes here, little film stuff. Makes me feel right at home.
Perfect response. We're here talking about salud.
Itadakimasu.
Thank you so much for being on the show today. And we are talking about script to screen productions and packages. What is your experience with working with production companies who do a whole script to screen service for their clients?
Well, I got my start as a script supervisor, which a lot of people don't really know what that means or what they do. But basically, a script supervisor takes notes for the editor, and they sit next to the director. So my entire career, before I did start directing myself and producing, I sat next to directors and read a lot of scripts. So a lot of people don't really think when they're writing a script. They're thinking about the story and how cool the story is. But they're not really thinking about how are we going to make this on film. So I directed a film called Lily is Here back before the pandemic. And the writer who wrote it, for example, had one of the main characters was in a white 1963 Ford pickup truck. And we had no money. The budget had no money. And I said, cool, do you have a white 1963 Ford pickup truck? And he said, no. I said, so where are we going to get one? And he said, oh, I don't know. And I go, does it have to be white? Does it have to be a Ford? Does it have to be 1963? Does it have to be a pickup? He goes, well, no, I just wanted to show that the character was kind of country and she was kind of down on her luck. And I said, okay, so in the script, write like junky car, like a junky pickup truck or, an old car that shows that she's kind of down on her luck. And he was like, oh, I didn't think of that. A lot of writers don't think about that. And when they're writing their stories, like if you write a novel, you write anything you want.
Right.
It could be Harry Potter. I mean, you could have flying dragons. Cool, but how are you going to get that on screen? So, when you're writing a script, you need to always be thinking about, okay, if I mention this very specific prop or this very specific wardrobe, does it advance the story? Is it important to the story? Where do I get one? Do I have the money? Do I have the money to buy one? Do I have the money to rent one? And, if you're just starting out, a lot of times, no. The answer is no. You don't have that money. You don't have the time to build that. Those flying dragons from Game of Thrones are very, very expensive. So, yeah, sure, you can write those into your script. But how
How are you
practical?
going to realize them for the audience?
How practical is that? So you always have to be thinking about that. And, when you're on the day, if the character, for example, has her hair braided a very particular way, I shot a short film where it was a plot point where she makes a comment about, oh, do you like my hair? It looks like that girl in that book, The Hunger Games. Well, we all know what that looks like, so it has to be a very particular way. So you got to hire a hair and makeup artist that knows how to braid hair.
Right.
And you need the AD to, send your actor into hair and makeup before you start rolling, because it's very important to the script that she look a certain way.
Yeah.
So, these are all things that as you're writing, you can write whatever you want, but on the day, you got to have people to realize your vision.
Yeah, go ahead, Eric. You got some...
I love that so much because I can't tell you how many times, like, especially starting out, I remember one of my first PA jobs, we were in a really nice studio and everyone was all locked up. So we kind of had a little bit of time. And there's always that one guy that just really wants to share his script with you, like, while you guys are on this. We're like shooting, like, a Cheetos commercial or something like that. And he's outside and he's just super excited about it. And the first thing he's telling me about is this alternate universe that they're in, where instead of the Europeans over, like the Japanese came over. So he's like, I need this land and I want like a boat with all these guys and their armor looks like turtle shells because, it's in the 17th. And I'm just like, do you have a couple acres with you said that these guys have to be Japanese and and their armor, because he wanted to call them like the turtle shells or something because the way their armor was designed. I said, do you have, this has to be a big army. You said you need at least 70 people. Do you have 70 people that with these armored shells that you're specifically talking about? I love your story. That's great. If it's a novel, sure, maybe I'll read it if I read, fiction. But I'd love to hear your story, but there's no point in me hearing it right now because you're talking about all this stuff that's you don't have a plan for at all. I don't want to hear about your thing on 80 acres with these 3 different tribes and all their cool uniforms when there's no way for you to get it. You don't have it. So you gotta shoot within the, what am I trying to say? The resources that you have.
Right.
Like shoot within the resources that you have.
When you're filming a movie, there's 2 ways that you can budget it. And it's kind of like, it's like anything that anybody would put together, like a wedding. You can say, I want purple orchids, and I want a 4-piece string quartet, and I want a 5-piece horn band. Cool. Here's how much that's going to cost you. Or you can say, I have X amount of money. What can I get for that? So, if you're Steven Spielberg or J.J. Abrams, you're the first. You say, I want flying dragons, or I want a T-Rex dinosaur, an animatronic T-Rex dinosaur. Cool, Mr. Spielberg, this is how much that's going to cost. But if you're at a lower level, then you say, here's how much money I've got. What can I get for that? And theoretically, what you do is you'd hire good people that can make magic out of like no money. I mean, I did a movie once where it was people, immigrants smuggling across the border with a coyote. And they recreated the, quote, Rio Grande River with one water truck and like a bunch of shovels. And they like dug a trench and they did literally they made the Rio Grande River appear for like $1.50. And you want to hire people that can do that.
Well, I mean, necessity forges innovation. So if you have this necessity to achieve something, that's when the creativity comes into play in order to make it happen, right? Alejandro, what do you got for us?
Yeah, it's
Alex Mena, by the way, producer.
Hey.
Go.
Howdy.
Go ahead, sir. Yes.
Yeah, I think the only thing that I want to say though is that if you're talking about a script as opposed to making transforming that script into a film, I would say you let your imagination go because you're the writer and just go wherever you want with the script and then let that script get bought, get optioned, whatever. It could be years and years and years if it ever gets made, but don't ever give up on the dream of the actual writing itself, and let the filmmakers then, if the film is actually optioned or purchased or bought, then let them come up with the ideas to actually execute the script.
So I totally 100%. And that's kind of like an indie film kind of world
Sure,
and
yeah,
environment.
yeah, yeah.
I don't think it's too far off from the corporate world in terms of I have engaged corporations where they kind of don't know what they want. And if you sell them a big idea and you sell them on a story that they can see themselves in, they get excited about it. And when they get excited about it, the purse string and the resources start to open up quite a bit. And especially if they have some sort of stake in it, like, oh, that was my idea or that has my DNA, my fingerprint on it. I mean, a corporate production and a corporate budget can be, you know, uh, quite supportive of a big idea.
Well,
Especially if they're in it.
I have also noticed
Yes.
in corporate jobs, they work in corporations. They don't work in film, and so they don't know what they don't know, and they'll say, "Well, we would like, you know, flying dragons," and you have to go, "Well, you can have flying dragons, but here's what it's going to cost, and here's what it's going to take, and here's how long it's going to take," and then they go, "Oh, yeah, never mind, never mind."
Right. Well, and and then sometimes that's where you have to kind of adjust. Uh, I had pitched an idea for a car chase, long story short, where a car was being chased by an alien mothership and some scout ships, and they're blowing up the roads and they're blowing up bridges, and this couple is trying to get out of the city as
That
this
sounds
kind of
expensive.
I guess it was, and the client could not afford the spaceships, the alien ships. And so what I did was I went out on a stock footage site and found a Warner Brothers footage of these motorcycles giving chase to a camera. They're chasing the camera's tracking with it. And I realized that we could, instead of using spaceships, use these motorcyclists who were like all black leather and helmets as these mysterious pursuants of our heroes. And so it's the same story, but instead of aliens, it's, ambiguous, bad guys on motorbikes.
Yeah, thinking outside the box.
Thinking outside the box. And it was much more affordable for them to license that footage than the whole CGI extravaganza. And we were still able to tell the story with just a modest tweak and sell that project. And so
There's a line in the movie The Princess Bride where he says, "Okay, what are our assets?" And a lot of times when you don't have a lot of money, you need to just sit down and think, well, we've got this footage with motorcycles. Well, I've got, my dad's got a barn. I have a tuba. Maybe we could work those in, and then, plan your way around. What do you have? What are your assets? If you're in a sound stage, we've got a cyc, we've got, this, we can make a green screen, we've got flats, we've got lighting, we've got, office chairs, we've got an office set, we've got end tables, we've got, what do we have? What can we work with?
what can we leverage?
Yeah. And then let's work that in. And, if we need to go out of, and rent stuff or buy stuff, how can we do that effectively and how can we do that efficiently and economically?
Yep. Necessity forges innovation. How's that pina colada?
That is very tasty. And I would like to shout out to Amy for bringing me the tasty beverage.
Yeah. Well, a round of applause for my
Yes.
wife, Amy.
By
Yeah.
the way, Chris, I know what shoot you're talking about. The spaceship, and it was the motorcycles. I know exactly what you're talking about. I saw it on your portfolio. And after hearing that story, I actually like better what you ended up with because it actually fooled me more. Because if it had been spaceships and stuff, I would have known from the beginning that it was some type of imagination or something.
Right.
But since you used what you had and it was just the motorcycles, it put me like I was watching this situation happen. And then whenever the reveal, which I don't want to ruin it for anyone that wants to go and watch it, but whenever you hit the reveal, it was so much more satisfying because like it fooled me. And I didn't even know that was stock footage. I thought you guys had to go out and shoot that because it looked good.
Really?
Yeah, like I didn't know that you pulled that. I'm guessing you had to put it over the rear view mirror as well because he's going up and he's watching the people chase him and stuff like that.
Jeff Plunk is the actor in that. Yeah. I don't know if you know him.
yeah.
Yeah. It was a poor man's process for the automobile.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Fooled me. You know, it was great.
Fantastic. Well, the compositors did a great job. Green screen, we did all the do's and not so many don'ts on the green screen. But the compositors did a great job and the actors were really good. So, but thank you. That's a testament that.
That's one of my favorite ones that I've seen from you just because I'm a big fan of a twist there at the end. And, you have that little pullback on the reveal and the sound effects that the actor's making with his mouth that are no longer audio put in there. I loved it.
ChristopherBigby.com. Check it out.
Hey, really good.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug. It's all shameless. All right. Well, that is a pretty good stopping point in terms of script-to-screen packages and video production. Thank you, Eve, so much for being on the show.
My pleasure.
Give a little round of applause for Eve as she enjoys her pina colada. And that is a wrap on the Martini. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you on the next one.